Hey everyone. So I had another question come in that is how to retrain myself to appreciate my partner instead of just focusing on all the negative things that he does that pisses me off. That piss me off. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of the question. And I first want to just applaud you for asking that question because you're already, 1,000 steps ahead of many people who are just kind of stuck in that negative place. So it's funny because I saw one of these Tony Robbins videos that, from his live events that kind of scroll that will show up in your Facebook newsfeed from time to time, or they show up in mine. And he was talking about, I forget what the result was that he's looking for, but it obviously applies to relationships and everything else, which is to replace your expectation with appreciation. Replace your expectation with appreciation. Okay. And that's obviously, I don't know, I guess that's obvious, right? But it's a practice. So like with anything, if you're trying to start a new habit, you're starting to train yourself into a new habit. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday too. You've got to make it a discipline. So if that means focusing on, 5 to 10 things every night and writing them down that you appreciate about your partner, and every time you find yourself going into that negative space, whether it's like you have an elastic on your wrist and you like snap yourself and you train yourself into, there's actually something called the Pavlov, which actually shocks you into doing better behaviors or something like that. I don't know how. Anyway, that's it. I digress. But to really, like I said before, it takes a while before you start creating an automatic habit, but really shifting into gratitude or appreciation is something that can really, really help with this. Now, I don't, at the same time, advocate people settling for relationships or for situations that are subpar. So it's always a tricky balance of when to speak up and, try to get more. And also just being grateful for what you already have. So another thing is to imagine what would life be without your partner, right? I mean, when I was in school, I did my doctoral dissertation on, what was it called? Post-traumatic growth, right? So I interviewed a bunch of people who had like really sudden and traumatic losses of loved ones. And, I was kind of looking for existential growth as a result of the process. And I found it. Like everybody, appreciated things in a different way afterwards. So I feel that we shouldn't have to wait for a tragedy to happen to kind of capitalize on the moment, so to speak, right? Or the love that exists between you and your partner or whatever it is. So I like to, personally, I'm big into thinking about things in an existential way and like, wow, this is what we've got right now, right here. And so let's make the most of it. And I think your question certainly speaks to that. And I just really appreciate you for asking that because it's a big one. And I think so often people get caught up in the negative and what's wrong when there's a lot of things that are going well. And, again, I'm not saying to settle. I'm not saying to like, I know forgiveness is so important, but it doesn't mean, letting, being a rug and getting walked all over by all means. But knowing for you, it sounds like if this question is coming up, maybe you find like you have the tendency to get overly critical. And I'd also be a little bit more compassionate toward yourself, because if you're, finding yourself lashing out at your partner all the time or getting really down on the negative parts of it, I'd encourage you to look in the mirror and ask yourself how you can be more compassionate to yourself as well and give yourself a break. Because I know that sometimes when we're very critical of the people around us, it's really just a reflection of what we do to ourselves. So thank you for asking. If you have any follow-up questions or any other questions, please let me know. And for anyone else who's watching, if you've got any questions, let me know. I'm having fun with this. Again, I didn't intend to, I was thinking about like, what can I do for a webinar or training or something more long, but I think these quickies are pretty fun. So ask me your questions, okay? Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.